Hello scholars, welcome to the Dakshinai classroom. This is going to be the second lecture of your magnetic field and magnetism chapter. In the last lecture, we talked about how a moving charge experiences force when placed inside a magnetic field. That is, force experienced by a moving charge inside a magnetic field is how much, that we have talked about in the last lecture. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about how when a current carrying conductor is placed inside a magnetic field, that also experiences a force. So first let us take a look at the topics which we will be covering in this lecture. So the first topic which we will cover in today's lecture is that magnetic force, on a current carrying conductor. So when a current carrying conductor is placed inside a magnetic field, it experiences force. How much is that force? That we will see in under this topic. The second topic which we will see is torque on a loop. Meaning when current is flowing in a loop and that loop is placed inside a magnetic field, there is some amount of torque experienced by the loop. Loop starts rotating. So that we will see what is the torque on a loop inside a magnetic field. So these are the two topics which we will be covering in the second lecture. So now let us take a look at that how when a current carrying wire is placed inside a magnetic field, it experiences some amount of force. So let us take a look how that occurs. So let us consider that we have a uniform magnetic field B which goes inside. Cross surrounded by circle means your field is inside the board. Field is like this. So there is a uniform field in this region inside the board. And here I have a wire. Here I have a wire and wire has a current I. Now you know that current. What is current? Current is nothing but flow of charges. Now if the current is flow of charges, and generally in case of electricity, the charge is nothing but electron. And you know from your electricity chapter that direction of current is taken as opposite to the flow of electrons. So if I have taken direction of current I as this, then electron should be flowing in the negative direction, downward. So electrons are flowing like this. Now remember, whenever a moving charge, now these electrons are moving inside the wire, and whenever a moving charge is placed inside a magnetic field, it experiences some amount of force. So if this electron is flowing inside the wire and here there is a magnetic field, then obviously this electron will experiences some amount of force. Then how much force this electron will experience? So here you can write force on an electron inside the wire. Then how much will be this force? So this force can be written as, let's write here only, is the electron is going in this direction. So let's write velocity or this drift speed of the electron is Vd. And if drift speed is Vd in this direction, then what is the force on a charged particle? Force on a charged particle is charge on that particle multiplied by velocity cross with field. So can I write here force on an electron inside the wire will be charge on the electron multiplied by velocity, drift speed of the electron multiplied by B. What is drift speed? Drift speed is simply the average speed at which the electron is moving inside the wire. So this is the force on the electron. Now there are number of electrons. There is not one electron, no. There are number of electrons. Now let us assume that n, small n. What is small n? Small is the number of electrons per unit volume inside the wire. Now remember, since the force is applied on these electrons and these electrons cannot escape from the wire, they cannot come out of the wire, so whatever force is applied on these electrons, the same force will be experienced by the wire. Now, if n is the number of electrons per unit volume inside the wire. Now see, let us take a cross section. Now let us take a cross section of our wire. Let us increase the width of the wire. This is my wire of area A. Now let us take a cross section of length dl. From here to here, this cross section of length dl. Now if this cross section of length dl, then what will be the volume of this section? Area multiplied by dl. And if area multiplied by dl is the volume multiplied by number of electrons per unit volume, that will give me total electrons inside this cross section. So what I can write here? Total electrons inside a cross section of length dl. What will be total number of electrons? Volume multiplied by number of electrons per unit volume. So number of electrons per unit volume is n and volume is area times dl. So this is total number of electrons. So if force experienced by one electron is this much, then what will be force experienced by this many electrons? So force experienced by this section. Which section? Section dl. This section will be df. So small section, small force. Now why I am saying force experienced by this section? Because we have already discussed that since these electrons cannot escape from the wire, whatever force is experienced by these electrons, same will be the force experienced by the wire. So if I simply add the force experienced by all the electrons inside the wire, which are moving because there is current, I will get total force experienced by the wire. So total force experienced by the wire is nothing but summation of forces experienced by all the electrons which are moving inside the wire. So this df. Now what will be this force? Now this force can be written as, see, this is the total number of electrons and this is force experienced by one electron. So I can simply multiply this with this. So N A dl multiplied by this. What is this? Q times Vd, where Vd is drift speed, multiplied by B vector. Now this is the total force experienced by which section? By this section of the wire. Now remember, here if I modify it a little bit, then N A Q. Now here pay attention. dl Vd cross B. Now remember, what is the current? From the electricity chapter, if you remember, what is current? Current is nothing but N E A V D, where N is the number of electrons per unit volume, E is the magnitude of charge on one electron, A is the area, and Vd is the drift speed. So here Q is the charge on electron. What will be charge on electron? If E is the magnitude, then Q can be written as minus of E. Now, so can I write it like this? Minus of N E A D L dl Vd cross B. Can I write it like this? Okay. Now here is the interesting part. Now see, what is Vd? Vd is the speed or drift speed of the electron or drift velocity of the electron. And if you remember, the current direction is taken opposite to the direction of motion of electrons. So if Vd is this downward direction, then current will be upward direction. Now see here. NEA Vd can be written as here current. So here you can say, if I take the direction of current as opposite to the direction of drift speed, then if I replace this, if I put it like this, see, if I put it like this, NEA Vd dl cross B. Now what did I do here? See, what is Vd? Vd is the drift velocity. See, and if dl, now dl is not a vector, dl is a section, but if I assume dl to be a vector in a direction opposite to the direction of drift velocity, or if I assume dl to be a vector in a direction same as direction of current, then dl and Vd will have opposite sign. Sign of dl and sign of Vd will be opposite. So in place of Vd cross B, if I write dl cross B, then sign is opposite, sign changes. That is why I can remove the negative sign. So in place of Vd cross B, I am writing dl cross B, and that is why I can remove minus sign from here. Why I can remove minus sign? Because Vd and dl are in opposite direction. Here I am taking direction of dl to be in the same direction as the flow of current, and flow of current has direction opposite to the direction of flow of electrons. So this way. So this is the force on one section of the wire. Force on this section of the wire. And if I want to write the total force on the wire, then total force can be nothing but F equals NEAVD. What is the value of NEAVD? I, current. So total force is nothing but current multiplied by. This was the force on this small section. And if this is a straight current carrying conductor, straight wire, then in place of dl I can simply write L. So force will be I times, I is the current, I times L cross B. You can write that in the bracket. Now what is L vector? This is force on a straight wire, straight current carrying conductor. So what is L vector? L vector is nothing but length as a vector. And which direction it will be? L vector will be direction in the direction of flow of current. So here current is flowing upward. So what will be the direction of L vector? It will be upward. So here if I ask, okay, tell me the force on this wire. So current is flowing upward and magnetic field is inside. So force will be I times L cross B. So L like this, B is inside, so L cross B. What will be the direction of force? Direction of force on this wire should be in this direction. This should be the force vector. L in the direction of current, cross product with B, which is inside. Your thumb points towards the direction of force. So this is your force when a straight current carrying conductor is placed inside a magnetic field. So this is your force. You can pause the video and write it down. Now let us try to solve a question based on what we have just studied. Now you can pause the video and try to solve it yourself. Now let's solve. A wire of length L carries a current I along x-axis. B, which is magnetic field symbol. Magnetic field exists as B naught I cap plus J cap plus K cap Tesla. Find the magnetic force acting on the wire. Now we have studied that if a current carrying conductor is placed inside a magnetic field, it experiences some force. Why it experiences that force? Because current is nothing but flow of charge, and when the electrons are flowing inside the wire, all those electrons are experiencing some amount of force, and this summation of all those forces experienced by all those electrons, that summation is nothing but force experienced by your wire. So it came out to be, we have already derived, force is nothing but I times L cross B, where what is the length vector? The direction of length vector is taken along the direction of current. So here force will be equal to current. What is current? Current is I. What is length? Length is L, but length vector will be in which direction? Carries current I along the x-axis. So if the current is along the x-axis, length vector will also be taken along x-axis. So L I cap. Now this I and this I is different, so let us write it as capital I to avoid the confusion. So I times Li cap, this is the length vector, cross product with field vector. What is field vector? B naught I cap plus B naught J cap plus B naught K cap. This is your field vector. Now cross product, that is your field. What is field here? Force. Force equals I times. Now what is cross product here? I cross I is 0 because sin theta, sin 0 is 0. So I cross I is 0. I cross J is K. So it will be L B naught K cap. I cross J is K. And I cross K is minus J. So minus of L B naught J cap, like this. So if you want to write complete, then force equals will be how much? I L B naught you can take common. So I L B naught and bracket will be minus of J cap plus K. So if this L is along the x-axis, current is moving, and this is the field in that region, magnetic field, then how much force will be experienced by the wire? The force experienced by the wire may be written as current times length times B naught minus J cap plus K. So in this way you can find the force experienced by a wire when placed inside a magnetic field. You can pause the video and note down the question. Now let us solve one more question based on the concept of force experienced by a wire. Now here we have a current carrying loop. This loop is A, B, C. This loop is in form of an equilateral triangle. This is an equilateral triangle. length of each side is written as 10 centimeter. This is 10 centimeter, this is 10, this is 10. Current flowing in this loop is 5 ampere. Now how that 5 ampere is flowing, that is not our concern, just 5 ampere is flowing. So 5 ampere current is flowing in this closed loop. And there is a magnetic field. That magnetic field is B equals 2 Tesla inside this board. Meaning in this entire region, there is 2 Tesla magnetic field inside the board. 1 Tesla is 1 Newton per ampere meter, that is the SI unit. So 2 Tesla is the field inside the board everywhere. Now they are asking find net force F net on this loop. Total force on this loop will be how much? Now see, if I want to find the total force on this loop, what is the formula? Formula is F equals I L cross B. Now this formula is applicable for a straight current carrying conductor. If the current carrying conductor is a straight conductor, then this is applicable. But here it is not a straight conductor. Here there are 3 parts, 3 straight conductors. So if I find the individual force of all these 3 parts, individual force on this part, and this part, and if I add those 3 forces, then I will get the net force. Now let's see. If this is the direction of current and this is the direction of current, then I can say F1, or let us say F of AB. F of AB will be how much? L in the direction of current, length, field is inside, so L cross B, thumb will point towards the direction of force. So force on this part is towards like this, towards the circumcenter. Force on this BC, L cross B, towards circumcenter. Force on this, L cross B, towards circumcenter. Then what will be this force? Current is how much? Current is 5 ampere. And see here, the direction between length and B, meaning direction of current taken as direction of length, and field vector which is directly inside. So length and field, they are at 90 degree to each other. So sine 90, L cross B is LB sine 90, because here it is, this is the direction of field, this is the direction of length. So that is sine 90. So sine 90 is 1. So you can write I ampere current 5 ampere. Length, how much is length? Length is 10 centimeter, which is 0.1 meter. And field, how much is field? 2 Tesla. And sine of 90, because cross product is sine theta. And here length is this much, B is inside, so 90 degree. So how much is this? This is 5 into 210 into 0.1, that is 1 Newton. So each wire or each part, each side of this equilateral triangle wire loop is experiencing 1 Newton force. Now, so is the total force 3 Newton? No, because force is a vector quantity and total force has to be taken as vector sum. You cannot just add. So here if you observe, if all these forces are directed towards the circumcenter, then angle will be how much? 120 degree, 120 degree, 120 degree. All these forces are at 120 degree, meaning it will be like this. F, F, F. 120, 120, 120. And if I add 3 forces which are equal in magnitude and they are separated or angle between them is 120, then you can say here F net, net force will be 0 Newton. Any value you take, you can take any value of F here. If they are separated from each other by 120 degree, then net force will always be 0. So here net force is 0. So each side of this equilateral triangle is experiencing 1 Newton force, but the total force on this loop is 0 Newton. You can pause the video and write it down if you want. So now let us talk about the next topic, that is torque on a current loop in a uniform magnetic field. Meaning, what happens if a current carrying loop is placed in a uniform magnetic field. In the previous section, we have already talked about that if a current carrying conductor straight wire is placed inside a field, uniform magnetic field, then it experiences force. What is the amount of that force? F is equal to I times L cross B, where length vector, direction of length vector is taken along the direction of current. Now we also saw through a question that in case there is a closed loop, the net force on that closed loop will be 0. Now here I have a closed loop, rectangular closed loop, length A, breadth B, small b. Now let us assume that current flowing through this loop is anti-clockwise. This current is anti-clockwise for you. If you look at it, it is anti-clockwise. Now if I want to find the total force on this loop, then what can I do? I can simply find the force on the individual lengths, individual sections AB, BC, CD and DA. I can just add those. And if I want to find the total torque, that way also I can simply find the torque on individual arms and simply add them. Now let us try to find what would be torque in this case. This is your current carrying loop and here is the magnetic field. Dot means magnetic field is like this. Magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane and coming out of the plane. We are assuming that this magnetic field is uniform everywhere for this entire whiteboard. Now what would be the force? Now see here, if I want to talk about force on AB, then force on AB will be in which direction? FAB will be how much? This is current. So current direction length cross B like this. So force is downward. So on this force is downward. What would be magnitude? This is the direction of length and this is the direction of current perpendicular to the length, direction of field. So direction of length, direction of field, they are 90 degree to each other. So ILB sine 90. So you can write FAB downward direction minus J cap. So minus of current is I, length is B and capital B. This is FAB. In the same way, what about force on CD? Force on CD will be upward direction. So FCD will be your how much? I, L, not L, small b, capital B, J cap. What about force on BC? This is the direction of current. L cross B, this direction. So force, thumb is showing the direction of force. So that is direction of force. In the same way, force on DA can be shown to be in this direction. So here you can write F of BC will be equal to how much? I, A, B, I cap. Here do not confuse between this I and this I. This is current. So F DA will be equal to how much? Minus of I, A, B, I cap. Like this. Now this is current. This is, do not confuse in that. So here you can observe this force is cancelling this one and this is cancelling this one. Meaning AB, force on AB will cancel out force on CD. Force on BC will cancel out force on DA. So the net force F net is equal to 0. All these forces are cancelling out. So you can remember this as a rule, that in a closed loop, if you put a closed loop inside a uniform magnetic field, then net force is always 0. You can write that as a note. Note, you can write net force on a closed loop inside a uniform magnetic field. Remember, field has to be uniform. Uniform magnetic field is always 0. You can write this as note. Now what about torque on this loop? Now what is the torque right now? Now see, how you find torque? Torque is nothing but perpendicular distance from the axis multiplied by force. Now, if you pay attention, this force, all the force, they are passing. What is your axis? Here, if I rotate like this, then y-axis is the axis. If I rotate like this, then x-axis is the axis. No matter you take y or x, all the forces are passing through the axis. And if the forces are passing through the axis, then perpendicular distance of the force from the axis becomes 0. Now if the perpendicular distance is 0, then total torque is 0. So what you can write? In this case, since all forces are passing through axis of rotation, hence total torque on the loop is 0. Why the total torque is 0 in this case? Because all these four forces, this one, and this one, they are passing through axis of rotation. You can take your axis of rotation either y or x. In both the cases, they are passing through axis. And if they pass through axis, if a force is passing through axis of rotation, then it does not applies any torque. So in this case, the net torque is 0. But will the net torque be 0 always? Will it be 0 always? That we will have to see. First, you can pause the video and note it down. In this case, we have seen that net torque is 0. But what if I rotate my loop? Meaning, here what is the case? This is your plane of the loop. This whiteboard is your plane of the loop. And your field is perpendicular to the plane of the loop. So if your field is perpendicular to the plane of the loop, in that case net torque is 0. But what if your field is no longer perpendicular to plane of the loop? If I do something like this, for example, let us say that this is your loop, and if I rotate the loop, like this, then plane of the loop will become this and field will be remaining same. Then it will no longer be perpendicular to the plane of the loop. Then what will happen? This is plane of the loop and field is already here. So it is no longer perpendicular. What will be torque in that case? Let us try to find out. Now what happens if I rotate my loop in such a way that plane of the loop is no longer perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field? Now if you pay attention to the diagram which is shown here, what I have done, I have simply taken my ABCD loop and rotated it through an angle phi. I rotated my loop through an angle phi. Pay attention to the diagram. Now what is happening? If you pay attention, if I talked about force AB, force on the side AB, pay attention to the diagram here, force AB and force on side CD, AB and CD. So force AB and CD are still passing through y-axis. Here I have taken y-axis as my axis of rotation and I am rotating through y-axis, around y-axis by an angle phi. So FAB and FCD, they are still passing through the axis of rotation. So you can write FAB and FCD are still passing through axis of rotation, and if they are passing through axis of rotation, their torque will still be 0. So you can write, so torque due to them will be 0. Pay attention to the diagram. Force on arm AB and force on arm CD, they are still passing. Even I have rotated it by an angle phi, those forces are still passing through axis of rotation, and that is why I am saying that torque due to them will be 0. Now what about force on BC and DA? Now here you can write FBC and FDA. Now see, previously when plane of the loop was at 90 degree with your direction of magnetic field, then all the forces were passing through axis. But when I rotated my loop by an angle phi, see here, if I rotated my loop by an angle phi, then still force on AB and CD are passing through axis. But if you pay attention in the diagram, force BC and force DA are no longer passing through axis, are no longer passing through axis. And if they are not passing through axis of rotation, then they will impart some torque. There will be some torque due to force BC and force DA. Pause the video, write down this much, then we will move forward. Now, as you can see in the diagram here, as we have just discussed, that force on BC and DA is no longer passing through axis of rotation. And since they are not passing through axis of rotation, their torque will no longer be 0. They will impart some torque. So here I can write force BC and force DA will impart some torque on the loop. Then how much that torque will be, that we have to find out. Now take a look at this. Keep looking at the diagram, try to understand. Previously it was like this and field was like this, and so net torque was 0, net force was 0. Now what I did, I rotated it like this. It is rotated like this. Now what is happening? Field is still like this. Field is still like this. Here also, here also, here also, here also. Now what will be the force here? This is field. This is length. So L cross B, that way. That way is the force. You can see in the diagram properly. That way is the force. If that is force and this is your axis here, from the middle of the loop. From the middle of the loop is your axis. It is rotating like this, right? So from the middle of the loop is your axis and this is your force. So here if you extend it back like this, you can observe that force is not passing through axis. Force is somewhat above the axis. So if I want to find the how much torque is there, then what I need to find? I need to find perpendicular of the force, perpendicular distance of the force from the axis of rotation. So axis of rotation is passing through middle of the loop and this is your force. So if I rotated by phi angle, here you can see phi angle, loop is rotated by phi, then what I can say? The perpendicular distance, force is at what distance? Perpendicular distance will be, because axis, in what way, in what arm your force is applied. Let us say force is applied on arm BC. Then distance of BC arm from the axis of rotation is how much? B by 2. Arm BC from the axis of rotation is y axis. So arm BC from the axis of rotation is at what distance? B by 2. Now since distance is B by 2 and it is rotated by phi angle, so if you pay attention, perpendicular distance of force BC, here you can write first perpendicular distance of force FBC and FDA from axis of rotation is B by 2 sine of phi, where phi is the angle by which I rotated my plane. Previously it was like this loop, I rotated it like this. This is my axis of rotation, here is the force. Then what is the perpendicular distance from the axis? So line of action of force, this is force, here is the axis. Then how much this distance? That distance you can see here, it is showing from the DA, but if you take from middle point, it will be B by 2 sine phi. So perpendicular distance of force BC and FDA from the axis of rotation is B by 2 sine phi. Now you can pause the video and note it down. Now if the perpendicular distance is B by 2 sine phi, now what will be the torque? Torque is nothing but perpendicular distance multiplied by force. The only question is whether torque on this arm and whether torque on this arm, they will be acting along each other, they will be supporting each other or opposing each other. So if you pay attention there, this is force, this is length, this is the distance from the axis. So this force will try to rotate your loop in which direction? Like this, clockwise. And this force will also try to rotate your loop clockwise. So both of those forces are trying to rotate your loop in the clockwise direction. So you can say that both the torques are supporting each other. So you can write here total torque magnitude. You can write torque on BC plus torque on DA like this. This will be your total torque. So what will be torque on BC? FBC magnitude multiplied by B by 2 sine phi. And what will be torque on DA? FDA multiplied by B by 2 sine phi. This is total torque. Now what is this FDA and FBC? We have already calculated. Here this is the side A. This is your magnetic field. So I, A, B, and there is 90 degree between A and B, A and field. So between the length and field it is 90 degree, and here also length and field it is 90 degree. So you need not write sine 90. Sine 90 is 1. So whether it is FBC, force on BC length, or force on DA length, both of them are at 90 degree with the your magnetic field. So FBC and FDA are equal in magnitude. So you can write torque will be this, you can write B by 2 sine phi, B by 2 sine phi common, V by 2 sine phi twice of this force. What is this force? Current I, length A, magnetic field B. And since they are 90 degree to each other, sine 90 is 1. 2 and 2 cancel out. What it will be? Current I, A, B, your capital B, sine phi, like this. This is your magnitude of torque. Now here, note it down first. Now here I can write it another way. So magnitude of torque until now have come out to be torque is equal to I times AB times capital B times sine phi. Now pay attention. Now what is AB? AB in this case, length and breadth of your loop. So it will be area of the loop. So you can write this down as I times area of the loop times B times sine phi. And if I define area as a vector, until now you have studied area as a scalar quantity. But if I define area as vector, if you pay attention in the diagram, if I define area as such that if I curl my fingers along the direction of loop, here if you curl your fingers along the direction of loop, for example, I say this is loop like this, and if I curl my finger like this, then perpendicular, then this thumb which is shown in the direction perpendicular to the loop, this thumb shows your vector, area vector direction. So how do you find direction of area vector? How do you define area vector? So if you curl your fingers along the current direction in the loop, meaning for example, let us say I draw a small loop, circular loop, and this is the direction of current. And if I curl my finger like this, then this is the direction of area vector. So area vector is defined as area magnitude, and the direction will be, if you curl your fingers along the direction of current, then this is your area vector. Now remember, area vector you can only define in case of magnetism, when there is current. If there is no current, and I ask you what is the direction of area vector, you cannot define area vector in that case. You can only define area vector in case when there is current. If the current is like this, you curl fingers like this, your thumb shows the direction of area vector. Now, if you pay attention in this loop here, then and if you try to find the area vector direction, you will find that in the area vector and magnetic field, the angle between area vector and magnetic field is how much? Phi, angle by which you rotated your loop. So angle between area vector and magnetic field is phi. How is that? See, previously it was what? Previously it was, this was your loop and this was your magnetic field, and you curl like this, this will be area vector. So previously area vector and magnetic field were in the same direction. The angle between them was 0. What I did? I kept magnetic field to be same and rotated loop. If I rotate my loop by phi angle, then area vector will also be rotated by phi angle, meaning now angle between area vector and the magnetic field becomes phi. So here I can write, if I take area as vector, then this can be written as torque vector equals I times area vector cross of field vector. See, area vector cross field vector will be how much? Magnitude of A, magnitude of B, and sine phi. What is phi? Phi is the angle between area vector and the field vector. So this is your torque on a loop. Now, here you can also write it in a different way. What is that way? Torque is equal to I times A cross B. You can also write it like this. And this can be written as torque equals mu vector cross B, where mu vector is nothing but it is called magnetic moment. We will study about magnetic moment in detail when we talk about how the magnetic field is produced by the current. We will talk about this in detail later, but for now you can see it is magnetic moment of the loop, which is equal to current in the loop multiplied with area vector. That is your magnetic moment. So if you want to find how much torque is applied on a loop, current carrying loop placed inside a uniform magnetic field, then you can use this equation. Torque is equal to I is the current, area vector. How do you find area vector? Just curl your fingers along the direction of current. Then thumb shows the direction of area vector. So magnitude area you can find. I times area vector cross product with B. B is the field vector. So cross product like this. And you can also write I times A as mu. What is mu? Mu is the magnetic moment of the loop, which is I times A. You can pause the video and note it down. Now let us try to solve a question based on what we have just learned. Now you can pause the video and try to solve it yourself. Now what is the question here? A circular loop carrying a current I has wire of total length L. Okay, so there is a circular loop, almost circular, okay, no problem, and there is a current I in that loop. A uniform magnetic field exists parallel to the plane of the loop. What is plane of the loop? This is your loop. So this white board is your plane of the loop. So a uniform magnetic field exists parallel to the plane of the loop. So magnetic field is like this. So in this entire region there is magnetic field parallel to the plane of the loop. Find torque on the loop. So whenever you have to find the torque on the loop, remember the formula. What is the formula? Torque is equals to mu cross B, or you can also write it as I times A cross B, where area vector, how do you find the area vector? Area vector can be found by curl your fingers along the direction of current. This is the direction of current. Fingers of right hand curl like this. Then thumb gives the direction of area vector. So this is your direction of area vector and that is your direction of field. What is the angle between area vector and the field here? 90 degree. So you can write total torque here as I times area times B times sine 90. What is sine 90? 1. So no need to write that. So total torque is this much. Now the only problem is we don't know area. What is area? See here what is given. Current I has wire of total length L, meaning this entire length of the wire is L, meaning circumference is equal to L. So what you can write? Twice pi radius equals L. So from here you can say radius equals L divided by 2 pi. And what is area? Area is pi r square. So area will come out to be pi times L square divided by 4 pi square. So this will come out to be L square divided by 4 pi. That is your area. So if you put that here, I times L square by 4 pi times B. So what is your torque on this loop? I L square B times 4 pi, not 4B, 4 pi. That is the magnitude of torque. What will be the direction of torque? Now see here, this is your area vector and that is your field vector. What should be the direction? Area cross B. Area cross B. Area cross B. So torque will be in the upward direction. So if this is your axis, then torque will be upward. It will rotate like this. Torque will be upward. So that upward will be the direction of torque. So that way you can find torque on a current carrying loop when that loop is placed in a uniform magnetic field. Now you may be thinking, sir, you derived the formula for rectangular loop. You are applying that formula on a circular loop. That is not a case matter. Whenever you are using this formula, we have derived this formula for a rectangular loop. But this formula can be used for any shape loop. It can be rectangular, it can be square loop, it can be circular loop. That formula is valid for any shape of the loop. Now let us try to solve one more question based on the magnetic moment. Here it is given that a wire of length L is bent into n circular loops of radius r, meaning there is a wire and I am rotating it like this and looping like a spring. In a spring there are multiple loops, so like a spring. So a wire is bent in n turns, n loops, and each loop has radius r. Find the total magnetic moment. Now you can say that if current flowing is r, if I is the current through wire, current through wire. Now how do we find? Magnetic moment is nothing but I times A, and if there are multiple loops, we have seen until now only one loop. If the multiple loops are there, then number of loop multiplied by current through the wire multiplied by area of one loop, that is your magnetic moment. So mu is equal to n. N number of circular loops are there, so n IA. Now we need to find the area. What will be area? Now if you see here, length is L, radius is R, and how many loops are n? So can I write like this? Total length will be nothing but circumference of n loops. N circular loops are there. So n number of loops multiplied by 2 pi r, their circumference, that is your total length. Now I can say here r equals L divided by 2n pi, like this. So what is area? Pi r square equals to pi times L square divided by 4n square pi square. So put that here. Mu equals n times current times area. What is area? Pi, pi cancel. L square divided by 4n square pi, like this. You solve this. Mu equals I L square divided by 4n pi. That is your magnetic moment. And if I want to find the total torque through that loop, so I can simply cross product this magnetic moment through the magnetic field. So this was the end of your torque on a loop and force on the current carrying conductor. In the next class, we will talk about how current carrying conductor itself produces magnetic field. Until now, we have seen that what happens if a current carrying conductor is placed inside the magnetic field, inside the external magnetic field. It experiences some amount of force. In the next chapter, we will talk about how if a current carrying conductor is there, that conductor itself produces some amount of magnetic field. What is that magnetic field? How is that produced? How much is produced? That we will talk about in the next lecture. Until then, revise your topics as much as you can and try to solve as many questions as possible.